USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
After Zoomies at the dog park, it's time for Drive Up at Target. In goes a big bag of kibble and one squeaky chicken toy for the good boy. Drive Up that's ready when you are, only in the Target app. Just tap Target.
Back with another episode of Keeping Current with Kansas City. This is Thad Bell from the KC Soccer Journal. With me, I have Carrie from the KC Soccer Journal and other things, and Daniel Sperry from the KC Star. I don't want to make that sound bad, Carrie. So I mean, you guys do the off to see the Wizards and stuff, and didn't want to diminish it, but I didn't want to include it under ours. So that's why I say it that way. So if it sounds weird, that's because I am. How are you tonight, Carrie?
I'm doing well. I'm very tired. It's been a long work week. Still got a long work week to go, but we're thriving. I'm going to the sporting game tomorrow. We'll see how I do.
How about you, Daniel? You surviving?
I am. I'm a little sunburnt from a weekend camping trip. My shoulders, my shins, my upper thighs, and like right at the sock line of my water shoes are absolutely burned to a crisp. Um, Turns out sunscreen wears off after a while, especially when you spend about 6 hours of your day on a river, getting in and out of said river to cool off in the 90 degrees but plus. But um, no, other than recovering from my sunburn and maybe a little bit of tightness in the shoulders from taking a kayak 10 miles down a river, I'm doing pretty good.
And you still golf today?
Yes.
I
He had to though. He got new clubs, and this was his first chance to try them. He was. I'm not. I don't even really want to make this joke, but he was almost as giddy about going out to try the new clubs as he was about being a new dad. That's not even remotely true. But he was so happy to tell me, "Yeah, I got new clubs, and I was going out to try them tonight. I had to do it, and then I had to go through and just do 3 holes over and over and over again." And he was very happy. I was happy for him. I mean, golf's not my game, but I was very happy for Mr. Sperry.
Sometimes you just need to touch grass, and that was what tonight was.
I get it. Man. We all have to have things that ground us in some way, shape, or form, and I'm still trying to find the best ones. All right. We kind of get together to talk soccer, although we usually talk other life things. Current had a 1-0 win over Angel City. Angel City, yes. And we'll talk about that and players contract extension and a little national team and maybe a little retrospective on the first half of the season when we for this pod. So that's just the preview. Carrie, you were at the game? Were you at the current game?
I was. I went with my dad.
Yeah.
As always.
Daddy-daughter time is awesome.
Yes. Always go with him. But it was a fun game. It was a fun atmosphere. It definitely felt like we should have won by more goals. But also at times it felt like Angel City was going to get like a last minute goal where we hadn't and win that way.
Yeah, it was not the normal Current come out and score 2 or 3 goals in the first half and then just kind of manage it after that. It was not that kind of game this time. What did you see from the wasp-filled press box, Mr. Sperry?
The wasp-filled press box. I saw um I think I didn't feel that the Current were as truly threatening in the first half as maybe a lot of people thought they were.
Yeah,
I thought they had the ball in good areas. I thought the runs for the crosses weren't there, or the cross for the runs that were getting made weren't there, or the run was made too late for the right cross. Like there was a couple of moments in there it just seemed off. I'm gonna blame it just on the heat. Like it felt like it like there was a lot of energy expended, but the pace of the game just didn't feel as fast as it normally does, for me, especially from the Current. And I'm just going to throw that out to the Heat. And I thought Angel City FC too were also slow. Again, it's just a Heat factor, I think, in how the game gets played out. Like that, it was muggy. I know Thad will say, "Oh, it was perfectly fine," but it was a muggier night. It was pretty high humidity and the temperature, and it just kind of bogs the game down in that way, especially in the first half before the sun sets. And I just thought that the in the second half, I liked the chances that the Current created better. You had multiple one-on-one opportunities, and in the first half, I just felt it was a lot. It was less hopeful crossing, but it was also crosses that nobody was going to get on the end of. Because of it was either the wrong cross or um the wrong run made for the cross that was
yeah,
put in open space. So I think that to me that's just kind of how it felt, and I think that played out for that second half that we got. That was very tight for a little bit, very intense, and the Current came up big in the big moments. And I think that to me was the overarching theme of the game, was like in the biggest moment that the Current needed to come up, and they did. Angel City did not, and that is the difference in the game, and that is so often the difference in soccer. Period.
oh, definitely. I don't disagree. First half they felt definitely a little slow and out, the heat or just sometimes you don't have the best games. Felt like a couple players were not having their best games that normally are really really good.
Mhm.
Michelle Cooper actually I just didn't feel like it was as effective as she has been in some games, which is kind of ironic with what we're going to talk about later. But it was just they weren't as effective. But then they started kind of getting it together a little bit. But the big moment in the second half I think really kicked it off.
Yeah,
Penalty given to Angel City and penalty stopped by Lorena. Did was it a good penalty call? I mean, I'll throw that to either one of you.
yes, I think it was a
Yes.
foul.
How about you,
I
Carrie?
agree. I agree. Ball just kind of she's going back for that second tackle because she originally slides, trying to stop the ball. She does stop it. Alyssa Thompson is does not fall with her, on that initial ball, so she's able to get back to the ball quicker. Elizabeth Ball just dives back into her. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for me, I thought there was more contact. Like the angle up high from the press box, it was kind of where I'm sitting in the press box. I was basically in line with the tackle, and I felt like ball came through and caught her foot and took it out from underneath her as she kind of came through the back of her. And that eventually brought Thompson to the ground and was the foul. I thought it was the right call. I understand why fans are frustrated because there was a foul very similar, a couple of times, not in the box but outside of the box, that the referee let go
yeah
in the game. Did not call. Beatrice should have had a foul, a free kick from a dangerous spot, and potentially a yellow card given for a tackle that she sustained right there in the first half. And so I think the overall feeling of how the ref mismanaged the game, I think he did, although I think he got most of the big stuff correct, outside of that one foul on Beatrice. Bia, why am I saying Beatrice? I don't know. Sorry. Um,
don't know,
but
man.
that penalty was the correct call, and I think to me, if you're a Current fan and you say, "Oh, you've got to call the foul on Bia there in the first half," then you've got to accept that that's a penalty kick, because you can't say, "Oh, well, it should have been a foul," but because you didn't call it a foul, then that's not a foul. That's not how it works. A foul's a
Right.
foul. Referees will miss calls. So that was the correct call. I think even if he doesn't call that and it goes to VAR, I think it gets overturned. I think it's a penalty.
No, that's fair. Again, I do understand fans want consistency, and that's what I think anybody wants. If it's a foul here, it's a foul there. Fouls there, but again, in fairness, calls are going to be missed. So if it's not in the box, it's not reviewable. So nobody really can say, "Oh, yeah, you should have called that one 5 feet outside the box," because that's not a VAR thing.
But it's fine. We didn't need it anyways.
Lorena
It,
came up big,
yeah. Sorry.
read the shot, and pretty easily stopped it. So
And that stadium was loud. Like I I think that was probably the loudest it's been. Um, and I kind of think back to whenever AD, I think it was the 2023 season, AD stops the ball. Same thing. It's a penalty. Children's Mercy was loud. Like it
Yeah.
felt like a sporting game with, I mean, at that point, half the people.
Yeah. I think I put in my recap that it sounded like it was 30,000 people, not 11,000. And whether or not it was 11,000 is also debatable. But there was, but at the same time, like it sounded like a much larger crowd than it was. That was insanely loud. It was a big moment. And I think like that just is it's so impressive. Like Lorena made that big PK save against Japan just in the international window before these games.
yep,
Uh, and I think like there's a lot of confidence that comes from stopping them, but it's very clear she's got an ability to read them. And I think like she read it, she talked about it in the post game through the translator, and I don't have the greatest like actual transcript of it because there were kind of some audio issues directly with her answer to the question, and so I've got to go back in and listen to the actual feed because I haven't had quite time to do listen to the hard line feed of the Zoom in yet, but she talked about reading it and wanting to try and fake her to a certain side, and then she realized that she was going to go to that side, and she made her decision and got and forced her kind of into that shot, and like just kind of a cool insight into the mind game. She wasn't talking directly about, okay, I looked at her plant foot, but like she just said like I could see that she was going to my right, and so I made the save how I wanted to. um she's been big in big moments.
yep,
um I don't know that there's very many goals that have been conceded by her this year that you say, probably should have got that. Maybe one that I think maybe she could have read a little bit earlier, but at the same time, most of those, like, that penalty kick is an incredible save. And she's come up big way more often than not. And that's what you want when you put up that kind of money to get a goalkeeper and overhaul that room.
yeah. I don't feel like it was the best absolute penalty taken, but it was still a great save to read it and get there. And it the interesting thing was it kind of spun up and like went over the crossbar, but just barely. So
I was on the crossbar twice. I mean,
yeah,
it's like everyone was screaming, and I'm like, the play's not dead yet. Like
yeah,
that ball will loop in and bounce off someone's arm or head and go in or do something crazy. So
that would be one of those highlights that gets watched for the next 20 years if that happened, though. All right, so not long. How long after that was it? Was a little bit, but not too long.
18 minutes, I think, roughly.
Yeah.
18 or 13.
No, I lied.
So
It's like 12.
she scored
Okay.
in the 9th minute, and the PK happened in the 56th minute.
Okay. The big thing there was though that Bia followed up a shot. Uh, Timoa had the shot. It was saved. Bia followed up and put it home and had a celebration that had everybody questioning what was going on, but it was a good follow up and a good shot.
She routinely goes for like the Ronaldo sweep, so it was fun to see her do something completely different. But can we talk about her touch to settle that ball? She doesn't touch it. She doesn't, she's not gonna one touch it over. She rolls her foot over the ball.
Yeah,
It's,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful touch.
she has some skill.
She's got quite a lot of skill, quite a lot of, and the power that she put on that shot too. I mean, she rolled it into her stride to set
Yep.
it up so you could try and put the ball through the back of the net. And if you watch it on slow-mo, the ball is already hitting the back of the net by the time Angelina Anderson gets her arm up from a lower position. I mean, it's like she barely gets it above her waist before that thing is in the goal. And so it's an insanely powerful shot that was awesome to see someone just kind of put their laces through and thump it in like that.
Yeah, it was a very impressive shot. And then the celebration, she started to go one way, then ran back, picked up the ball, put it under her jersey, and did the baby sucking, thumb sucking celebration, which, of course, I have to like, wait a minute, what's going on? Sperry read it pretty quickly. I know he had the idea.
Yeah, she is going to be a new aunt, and
Yep.
so an aunt again, and so she's very proud of her family, and so she was excited to share that she was going to be an aunt again soon.
She was all smiles in the post-game presser, wasn't she?
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at Polestar.com.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I wouldn't know because I was interviewing our next subject in the show for a story that came out today. But unfortunately, so I wouldn't know about BS press conference, sadly. But
That's right. You weren't in there. Yeah, no, she was just all smiles. Like Lorena was like all serious, all business. Like, yeah, yeah. But Bia was just all happy.
yeah, I'll say I think like that for Lorena too. Like that was, she's not someone that I've ever seen really show a ton of outward emotion, even in games. Um, which I don't know. Sometimes you kind of want from a goalkeeper. Like, don't you want them to be even keeled, cool, calm, collected? But I also don't know that she's ever done like that's a pretty. If you've never done a press conference like that post game, like that can be kind of intimidating with all the noise going on in the back. They're doing the saber and popping the bottle literally as B is going, and then or as Lorena's going, and then you've got to go through the Zoom back and forth. And she was kind of nervous, and she rambled on for a really long time in her first answer. And then the translators kind of making a joke of like, "Wow, that was really really long," and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I feel bad." So then I think, I'll give her some credit because I do think she gives really good, thoughtful answers,
Yes.
regardless. I, which I really do appreciate, and she intends to give thoughtful answers with it. But she's just very even keeled, cool, calm, collected, and Bia is this very. You see her on the field. I mean, everything is like just an outburst. Every time she scores, it's an outburst of emotion. She's just so hyped every time. So fits.
All right, so I'm tangenting for a second. Since I know Daniel and I have interviewed a lot of players in our time, do you think goalkeepers give the most thoughtful answer by standard than the other positions?
No,
I do.
I think I think some put a lot of thought into what they're going to say and purposefully give you nothing. Others, others do put a lot of thought into what they're going to say and are they're really able to articulate certain things. Right now, with the two goalkeepers that we have in Kansas City, they are both very open and answer very well thought out and very full answers and give a lot of detail. So
Yeah, I'm not saying that they always give a lot of detail, but I'm just saying they're very thoughtful about how they answer questions. But it's, again, we can.
current goalkeeper crop in Kansas City, yes. In past iterations for both teams, it's not been the case.
What position, Sperry, would you say gives the most thoughtful answers then?
Yeah.
The number 6 has been has been the one I've found. I get the most like detailed and insight. They're so cerebral as players most of the time, that they are usually pretty, as long as I'd say this, if they are good speakers and are confident in putting what's in their head to words.
And over the age of 21.
Yes, they come across really well. There are very few players over the age of even 23 that come across well spoken. But like I will say like Ilie Sanchez was one that I always thought gave detailed, thoughtful, really good answers. And I have felt the same way about Desi. I felt the same way even at times about Lo. I know she can be very high energy and kind of bouncy through her interviews and stuff, but I also think she does give when it's time to deliver a very deep, serious thought. She does, and so I've always felt that they are the ones that probably do the most thinking, but sometimes the center backs too. Alana Cook is the best. Alana Cook gives the best answers on the team, in my opinion. So
I found on the current from preseason, I thought Rocky Rodriguez gave some amazingly good answers.
Yep. And Rocky is also one of those players too. Cerebral, can do a whole lot, reads the game very well. So yes.
All right. So that was not on our rundown. I just had to throw it out there and ask the question while I was thinking of it. Otherwise, I'll forget about it. All right. What else from this game? BA scores. They hold on. They get the win. We'll talk a little bit about how that matters, maybe at the end of this pod. But it's good for them to win in a sometimes not in a perfect way.
I agree. Sorry to jump in there, Carrie. I know I've talked a lot, but I'll just say this quickly. Like I felt like that was one of those games where when you hear Vlatko say it a lot last year, like you've got to win 1-0 games if you're going to be a good team in this league. And I don't think it was their best performance on the night, but
No.
they found a way. And that is the most important thing, is that when it's tough, when it needs to be ugly, can they win 1-0 games? That game against Angel City, that game against Orlando, they won 1-0 games when they needed to. And I think that's a big difference from the team last year, because I didn't always feel like they were going to win a 1-0 game. I have not had any qualms about the Current this year feeling like they could see out a 1-0 game.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and great food. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So, when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite grocery items delivered straight to you. Get ice cream, soda, and snacks from your favorite stores like Wegmans and CVS and make the most of every moment. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good, it doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean. Jif. Ooh, it's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at Jif.com.
Through the Starbucks College Achievement Plan, full and part-time Starbucks baristas receive 100% upfront college tuition coverage so they can focus on achieving their dreams, not how they'll pay for school. And those dreams might start with a degree in management, biochemistry, or any of the more than 150 offered. At Starbucks, benefits like college tuition coverage are just the start. Learn more at starbucks.com/partners.
Hey, business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends 7/16/25.
I will say I felt like there was a little danger at the end of this last game. Like that Angel City was going to have maybe just a lucky break, but even that would have not been the worst thing. But they did see it out, and I wasn't going to say it was like super dangerous, but it did feel like just the way luck works sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna agree. I mean, yes, we have the whole second half of the season, but like when you get into playoffs, like even, going down 1-0, like we don't really know how this team is gonna react too well. And so it's one of these games that, yes, it's 1-0. Yes, it might look a little bit better than what you may expect a 1-0 game to be, but it's these games that are important to be able to battle out and finish.
And
Go ahead.
I would just like to add that they're doing this without Alana Cook. They're seeing out a 1-0 win without Alana Cook, without Lola Bonta, and without Dabinia, who was amazingly important in the defense, even though she's the great attacking midfielder or forward. So they're doing that without three really key players, one of them who will obviously out for the season. So just to do that 1-0 win over a decent team is pretty good.
I want to add this in here because I know you said it felt like they were going to get something in the end. The Kansas City Current did not allow a shot from Angel City from the penalty kick on until the 98th minute. One shot in the 98th minute after the penalty kick. That was it. And I think for me, like I know it felt like there was genuinely like that shot was like the lone venture into the Current's final third that Angel City had. And I think that was one thing that I noted in that whole 10 minutes of stoppage time. Angel City could mount one attack. And I think, like, yes, I know there's always going to be that concern up a goal. Like, does something happen? Oh my gosh, your nerves, you're tight. As some people will say, the butt cheeks are clenched. Like
a squeaky bum.
Squeaky bum time, or I've also heard lemon booty from I can't remember who said that one, but certain things pucker up. But it's just one of those things of like, I'm sorry, I've sent you all into a fit of laughter while I
I'm mostly laughing at Carrie, quite honestly.
I've just never heard these.
I heard the lemon booty one was the one I was like, I don't know if I could go with that one. That might have been a PJ Green special. But
I've never heard that one, so I have to say.
that was a PJ Green special, I think, if I recall. But it's one of those that, like, coming back to centering ourselves here, touching some grass for a second. I never felt like the Current were like actually in danger, except for that one moment. I was like, okay, this might be a little bit dangerous, but it was a .07 xG shot that was off target from 21 yards out. That was the last registered shot of the game for Angel City. And so if you're going to be a team that's going to close out games, like, that's how you do it. And that's what I think you're alluding to. It's so impressive that they're doing this without Alana Cook, without the captain and Lola Bonta on the field being that voice at the end. Like, Sharple's ball, you sometimes you get got with the penalty kick. She was nails the rest of the game, and she was nails before that. And she's been nails since she's had to fill in for Alana Cook. So, like, really impressive the way that they did that.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say there was like a whole bunch of shots in the second half after that goal or anything. That's not where I was meaning it to sound like. But it just felt like they were building up opportunities. Even if they didn't get the shots off, it felt like they were getting some opportunities to build possession. But again, I'm viewing this from the wrong end of the field and at ground level and all that stuff. But so maybe it was just the tenseness of the moment. But that's it. As a person that would be trying to be always objective, but trying to root for a team at the same time, it felt like I was worried. So, got to be honest.
Sure.
All right. Are we anything else from the game?
I just want to say that I think Rocky had a stellar game.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, coming up against your former team for the first time, it's always sometimes a little bit rocky. Her get Sorry, I didn't mean to go for that pun and then I heard it, so I had to pause. Um, but you know, sometimes it gets a little rocky, especially when you're not, you know, that person that is always expected to go 90, which she did, but you know, she's not the number one person in that spot. So
Yep.
for her to step in, come in, do whatever she needed to, I thought she had a great game.
I agree.
I was just gonna say, statistically, she had 4 tackles, 7 interceptions that more than tripled anyone else on the team in terms of interceptions. And she led the team in tackles. A couple others had 3. And then on top of it, she had 2 shot creating actions. Just completed 75% of her passes. 10 of them were progressive passes, which again was the most on the team. So that's phenomenal ball from Rocky from deep, which Thad and I the whole preseason were like, where the heck is Rocky gonna play? Because
Right.
we didn't think she'd play that deep, and she's played deeper than we expected, and she's done really, really well. And since she came, since in recent weeks, I think maybe that first run she struggled a little bit in the North Carolina game, but man, that was, as you said, one of her best performances for the team yet.
I think the best performance for the team yet. Because I do feel, again, just observationally, that each time she's come out, she's been a little bit better. Because I didn't feel she was as good the first couple times I saw her subbing in off the bench as I remember her being for other teams.
Yeah.
But it just feels like the more time she's gotten, the better she has become. I mean, that's kind of how it works sometimes, but she's a good veteran pro that just will probably be called upon it a lot of times to fill some time and kill games. So she did well. All right, I have a trivia question. It's really not that much of a trivia question because I think the answer will be self-evident very shortly. According to FBref, who leads the NWSL in goals plus assists per 90 minutes? Carrie.
Cooper.
Daniel.
Michelle Cooper.
You are both right. I think it was pretty self-evident because we talked earlier that we were going to talk about Michelle Cooper after the game.
I also
Contract
think
extension.
in my article that came out earlier today, so might have.
I have it up for something I was hoping to finish right, but so yes, she has a 1.14 goals plus assists per 90 minutes. The next closest is 0.87. Do you know who that is?
Debinha?
No.
Esther?
Nope.
Yeah.
Timwa.
Oh, okay.
Goals plus assists, 0.87. Debinha's down at 0.6 or 0.77, excuse me. So
that still has to be pretty good for top 5. Anyways, we should probably stick to Michelle Cooper, right?
Yes. We have seen Michelle Cooper grow over these first 2.5 seasons. Almost feels like she's been here longer in some ways, but first 2.5 seasons, and she has continued to grow, get better, and especially these last 2 years under Vlatko. I don't know if that's just the natural progress of getting past your rookie season or Vlatko really helping her also, but she's a force to be reckoned with. She already has more goals than she did in either of the first 2 seasons, with 4 and 2 assists, and has missed a fair amount of time with some injuries, but she's kicking ass. I'm really happy that she's extended the contract. Guys can comment if you want.
I was gonna let Carrie go first.
No, go ahead, Rambler.
Rambler. I'm trying to let other people talk here.
Yeah, this is rare. He doesn't let me talk that much.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
You're the host, man. You're the one throwing it to people. You could take your opportunity and give your monologue before you toss it out to us.
And I did.
You did.
Anyway, go ahead, rambling man.
Yeah, I think just getting to talk with Coop and kind of hearing from her a couple of weeks ago, I think it was before the game against Louisville, she spoke in the pregame press conference.
Yeah.
And some of the questions that she gave there, she just talked a lot about her confidence and stuff. And she kind of thrown out there was that her position coach had been Freya Coombe, and that she was working really side by side with Freya on a lot of these things. And so it was good to interview both of them for my story. I'll give my shameless plug here, but you can find it on kansascity.com. Kind of our little inside story on Cooper's, I wouldn't say resurgence, but Cooper's kind of true breakout in the sense of the end product. I thought her breakout in terms of danger and being a dangerous player that you had to take serious came late last season.
Yeah.
And that's kind of statistically evident if you look over the last 10 games of the season for Michelle Cooper. 4 of her 6 goal contributions came in those 6 games, including the playoffs in 2024. This year, she has 6 goal contributions already through 8 games played. And there's just a level of confidence, too, that she credits Freya with. But and I think there's a really good quote in there from Cooper, just talking about how Freya told her it's in you. You just have to choose whether or not. If you don't try, then it's never going to come. So you've got to do it and you've got to try it, kind of a thing. And it just really kind of instilled her with the confidence. And so now when you see her go in 1v1 or with a player or physical duels for the ball or bombing forward to high press players, and try and win that ball back and spring it out to Chawinga, or she's in that ball in the channel and she picks out the perfect cross to Lindsay Heaps. There's a whole lot of confidence behind that's come from Vlatko and Freya in that. And she talked about how hard her first year was too. She basically said, didn't have a coach for almost the whole season, basically.
Yeah.
You fire Matt Potter, and then you have Caroline Herblum, who I don't know, the position change was already kind of underway there with her, to out to the right wing, but at the same time, the way she was being asked to do the position was different, and she wasn't really a possession based kind of winger at the time, and so there was all these kinds of things that were going on there, and eventually, under Vlatko, there became a clarity, which I think for a lot of players can attest that once Vlatko came in, there was a clarity of idea and identity, and it's allowed a lot of players to flourish. And so, yeah, it's good to see the investment from the coaching staff time and time again pay off in players, because you see it in Cooper, but you also see it when Lola Bonta has to step out and Rocky Rodriguez steps in almost seamlessly, and Kayla Sharples and Alana Cook goes down with an injury, and Elizabeth Ball comes in and literally balls out since
pun intended.
Intended, yes. That coaching staff has everybody prepared, and has them playing at their highest level almost at all times. And I don't think that is given enough credit here, because they've turned Cooper into a national team level winger. I think even if Trinity Rodman was healthy, she would be getting called in to be her backup on the right wing. And I think that is something that should be said about who Michelle Cooper is now and who she will be for the future, not just of the KC Current, but also of the women's national team.
Yeah, it's been fun to see her get the time up with the national team. I got to be in Minnesota and see that assist I was almost in a perfect spot to see that cross that came over to Heaps. It was beautiful. And she's improved so much in so many ways. I know I used to think, why, need a player as a striker more and need to have a little more possession and get her up close. And I don't think we were wrong, but I just think that, yes, she has switched out to be a winger and a really good one. And yes, you're right. If Rodman was healthy, she would be still competing for those minutes at this point. I think she'll be a staple for a little while, because they need those forwards. So.
Yeah, and I think that, this contract extension is just such a big deal because, she's young, of course.
Yep.
You're going to need someone that also, with Temla having that 4-year contract, you're going to want to keep that chemistry as much as possible. And I think, of course, going into the summer break, we're going to see a lot more contracts get renewed. Free agency should be coming out as well, and we should be seeing, I think Lowe has a contract up at the end of the season. Bia does.
They redid Lowe's contract at the
They
beginning,
did.
right?
Of last year, I thought was for 2 years. So it would be up in end of 25.
And I might have to double check it.
I will add on while he's double checking that.
Not that I doubt you, but I totally remember differently, and I want to make sure.
Yeah, which is fine. We can admit that we might not always have everything in the top of our heads here. But I want to hand kudos to Caitlin Carducci and Vlaco because they have been very consistently since they took over remaking this team and getting contracts locked down and getting bad contracts out the door. I'm not going to mention some of those names, but they have been rapidly making the team better and more consistent and having those good players under good contracts. And this is just another example of them doing that. So, Caitlin, you can, say that we said good things about you.
Speaking of just like getting people out for contracts and stuff, did you see that Lowe had an interview talking about like the rebuild between 23 and 24, and she walks in and Blacko is just saying, "Hey, I'm getting rid of all your friends." And the backstory is that when getting hired, he was reading a book about how to like view people's personalities by, what they do, the emotions, how they talk. And so you got to pick out, quote unquote, like the bad eggs of that team and got rid of them. So just a little.
I did see this interview. I remember hearing about it. So,
So
I don't remember that interview,
bad contracts.
But yeah. Well, it's definitely some of both because I had a conversation with him before he took over, and he talked about some of the players who he knew were probably issues. So, did you find the information, Daniel? We've been stalling long enough.
I don't. I think at the moment it seems like it's through 2025, which is correct. Kudos to Carrie. I did not doubt you, but I couldn't. I feel like
trust but verify.
I feel like I remember, for some reason, I remembered her signing a contract at the beginning of this year, not last year. So I was wrong.
No, but most of the rest of the veterans have signed additional contracts at this point.
Yes.
If Vanessa signed one, was it the beginning of this year? So there's pretty much all the core players, I guess, exception of Lowe, but maybe they'll still be trying to bring her back. You would have to think that would not be a long one though if they do sign her because she is getting up there, even if she is making her first national team debuts recently. But
probably like a 2-year, keep going every 2 years until wheels fall off.
I have. Oh gosh. Well, one day we'll have to go back and go through the contracts because I don't know that I have them all correct. So,
I think that would be a perfectly great show for us to do in about a week because there's going to be this long break of actual NWSL games, and there will be some Teal Rising Cup stuff and some national team stuff, but actual NWSL stuff. So maybe we could just go through and break down that contracts and verify them and give our thoughts, opinions, and predictions. Fair?
Sounds fair.
But not today, because we will just take up a lot of airtime looking at things that we're just trying to look up old emails and figure out.
You're correct.
Which we've never done that before, because the later we go, the more likely we are to do something like that. And it's just riveting podcasting. However, we're moving on. Cooper re-signed 3-year contract or 3-year extension, so 3 years after this year, if I understand that correctly. And it's a really good piece of business and good for Cooper. And I do actually have audio. She was asked a question in U.S. national team availability about did she ever consider going elsewhere or did she just always want to be here? She answered that, and I will play those words now.
I love Kansas City. I mean, I think it's a place I've really grown a lot of roots, and I know that I'm continuing to develop there, and I'm continuing to build bonds with the girls on that team. And obviously, we're sitting pretty well in the standings right now. So to have all of that information to see the growth that reflect and see the growth that I've had over the past 3 years, I think it was a pretty easy decision for me to say that like I wanted to stay and then I wanted to keep growing there.
Wow, that was really good to hear that she just wanted to be back. She really loved Kansas City. And Daniel and Carrie are looking at me because they did not hear the words. But that's okay.
Are you giving away the secrets? Like,
because what am I?
Like the fourth wall with these people. Like, goodness. Actually, really the third wall because they don't have any sight on this. So,
because you know, as much as I will actually give a lot of other people shit, I give myself more crap than almost anybody in that I'm so inept at doing all of this, but I have fun doing it. So, right. Moving on. National team. Izzy Rodriguez got her first call up.
Yes.
And will be available for a couple games against Ireland and what's the other game? Canada.
Against Michelle Prince.
So of the current players called up, Izzy, Michelle, Claire to the U.S. national team, Michelle to Canada, Lorena to Brazil, Mary Long and Katie Scott to U18s, Rocky Rodriguez to Costa Rica. Am I missing anybody? I think that's the only ones.
Because I don't think any of the I don't know that any of the players on the current are competing in the women's AFCON.
Not that I know of. None that has been announced.
I don't think any of their teams qualified. So
we have a loanee that's qualified that made the roster. Our I cannot think of her name. It's the one that is currently on loan in China. She is called the Mini Barbara Banda.
She's with, and what team is she with? Like national team, not the Chinese team.
Oh, she's with
Nigeria, or is she?
No, she's with the one that Barbara Band is on. Why can I not think of countries' names right now?
Zambia, right?
Yeah, Zambia.
Well, it's good for her. So we'll have to like at least see if we can. I don't know. I'll try to watch one of those games if they're anywhere available.
They'll be somewhere. You might just have to like pirate it.
The Copper Queens.
Is that the name of their team? I mean, the nickname for their team?
Yep.
Any idea how they got that nickname?
I honestly have no clue.
I know like a few years ago in one of the like World Cup or something like that, I was writing up stuff and I just kept like referring to teams by their nicknames instead of their actual names because it was just for fun way for me to do it. Kept my interest, but it was just interesting to look up how teams got their nicknames, and some of them there wasn't really good information. But
Zambia is a major copper producer.
There you go.
There you go. It's Frida Mukoma.
Kahlo. No. Frida Kahlo. No.
Frida Mukomo.
And she's just 18, isn't she?
Yes. She was on an article that I saw of top 5 Zambian players to watch at this upcoming window. She was like number 2. She has, wait, let me find this. This is a crazy stat. I mean, it's like it's a Casey Current stat basically. She has
How would you constitute a Casey Current stat?
6 goals, and an assist in 7 matches.
So she is Timwa like.
She is Casey Current like.
Yes. And which team is she on in China?
Beijing.
Because I know the difference in them. All right.
She has 4 goals and 4 appearances with the Zambia senior national team. So that should tell you something.
So she's pretty good.
Pretty good, I guess.
Just a fun person to watch out for if, you're bored in this upcoming window.
Well, Carrie, I will rely upon you to find me a way to watch those games.
And I will rely upon a friend to find me that.
So I can blame that person in case you do not come through. Is that you're just trying to pass the buck?
Yes.
Fair.
She'll be listening to this.
Okay. Maybe we'll have to have her on then. Damn it. All right. National teams. I think we got everybody who we know is called up that's associated to the current. And we'll be watching. I actually got a credential approved to go to the women's game in Colorado, but I am probably not going because I would have to be leaving tomorrow. And I got too many things going on here. So
you don't want to go to Commerce City. You can get almost to Denver and never actually have to go to Denver.
I did want to go because I have actually not been in that stadium.
Oh, really?
I have not. But at the same time, I do not want to drive across Kansas.
That's valid.
I will drive 14 hours in any other direction and not 9 hours across Kansas.
I don't driving I-70 out there. I hate it coming back because I don't have the mountains to look forward to on the other end of the drive. It's just, okay, I'm back home.
Yeah, it's all downhill no matter which way you look at it.
When we went to Cincinnati, it's a much longer drive, but it felt a lot shorter than Kansas.
Yes. And I this is not a hate Kansas thing. It's just that stretch is I was trying to explain to somebody who did not know this area, and I said, if you're ever watching some show like Breaking Bad or something like that, where they're out in the desert and they pull up to some little town, and the town consists of a bad diner and a gas station that's like not even a brand name gas station, and you're not even sure if they're actually pumping legit gas, that's like every stop in Kansas out there.
Have you never been to the Oasis in Colby?
No, apparently not.
The Oasis in Colby is it's like if Buc-ee's but doesn't give you food poisoning. Like they have a Qdoba and they have a Starbucks and they have a giant like C-store gas station type thing with very nice bathrooms out there. They have a dog park. And then on the other side of it is Wheat Jesus. And that is the good old Colby, Kansas Oasis.
All you had to say was Wheat Jesus, and I knew.
Yeah. It's my favorite stop between here and Colorado.
As in the only stop.
Well, it's either that or the McDonald's in Hayes that's right off the interstate. Those are the McDonald's in Hayes on the way back and the Oasis in Colby on the way out because I refuse to stop in Salina. So
yeah, agreed. All right, so enough of Western Kansas hate. This is why I'm probably not going. Originally, my wife was going to go with me, and we were going to have a little extra couple days. Things fell through because of stuff that she's obligated to do, and I have a lot of stuff going on. So all of us came down to I am not going unless I just wake up tomorrow morning with a real wild hair up something and decide to go. So probably not. Moving on. We talked about the current game. We talked about Cooper. We talked about national team players. Good window to watch to see how they do, see if Izzy Rodriguez gets in a game. And we were going to talk about the first half of the season. That's what it was. Carrie, what's your thoughts on the first half of the current season?
Yeah, I mean, So let's look at, sitting at 33 points. Second place is at 25. That is a 8-point difference.
Math.
Yeah. If you look at second place to ninth place, that is an 8-point difference. So 16 points between us and the end of playoffs. 8 for Orlando. Just saying.
So not too bad.
Yeah. It's a fun little stat.
It is last year if I remember correctly, Orlando had 60 points at the end of the season. So the Current are technically slightly ahead of the pace to break their record from last year. And not as many teams seemingly close, because last year the Current and Orlando were basically neck and neck, and a couple teams right behind them that ended up passing the Current in the second half. But a lot can happen though. 13 more games. What's been maybe the key thing from this team? We've kind of talked about it a little bit before about what this team can do, but they have been so dominant in the first half in almost every game. I would say 10 of the 13 games, they've been pretty well dominant in the first half. Not going back and counting the exact number of them, but pretty much. And then they dominate, and then they kind of just control the game after that. And that's been a kind of a key identity of this team this year.
I think Vlatko will point to the fact too, though, that they are a team that has also, like, when they needed to score goals in the second half, they do. Save for the loss to Seattle. But I think that Orlando did this a lot last year too, where they were just so dominant physically and defensively, that like it didn't really matter, because they knew teams would try and mount attacks and that their defense could hold. Evidenced by the championship game. I don't know how many times that Orlando jumped out to a lead or early in games and last year, and then held on. They won a lot of 1 and 2 nothing games, maybe a few 2-1 games here and there too. So I think like the way that this dominance has gone about has been about control of the direction of the match, control of the flow. The match is being played on their terms, because even though they lose the possession battle in the second half, for almost 40 minutes, they hold Angel City without a shot. And that is actually, it's exactly 41 minutes from the 57th minute with the penalty kick to the 90 plus 8th minute. Like that, this team can do that for stretches and ice teams out without having the ball, and they can pick their chances to go forward. And I also think they're a team that can break, if you're going to try and bunker in on them, they will still break you down and overwhelm you. So you're just kind of forced to try and possess the ball and attack them. And even then, that still probably won't be good enough. And I think that is like, there's not a true roadmap to success against the Current. And I think that's the thing that stands out to me about the way that they've gone about this, because I thought there were ways that you could get Orlando last year, but teams just never capitalized on it or were able to pull it off. Or the ones that did, they got their wins on them earlier, kind of later on in the year after Orlando had already wrapped up the Shield in that way. But at the same time, like that is like the Current don't really have some way that you look at and you say that's how you beat them. I don't know that a team has put together an actual game plan. I understand North Carolina won. I understand Seattle won. I don't think those are game plans that are like repeatable. And it is a chance and a one-off, but I don't think it's a repeatable thing that you can figure out. And that's where this Current dominance kind of slips in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just a couple little things from just looking at the overall season. The Current only gave up 1 goal in their first 5 games.
Yeah.
That was a really amazing run there. In those two games that they lost, they gave up 3 at North Carolina, 1 at Seattle, and just could not finish to get that, at least a draw out of that. Since then, which game did Alana go down in?
The Orlando game.
So since then, they've given up 4 goals. Now, 2 of those was to Louisville a couple of games ago, and for some reason, Louisville does seem to give them problems. But so still a pretty strong defense.
Yep.
Of the 13 games, 7 were on the road, so they have 7 of the remaining 13 to play at home. So it's even more of an advantage for them. And some of the tougher teams will be coming to visit them versus them doing them on the road. So another little bit of advantage. They should be able to finish the season out well as long as they can keep their identity.
As long as they can keep their identity, and I think as long too as long as they keep pace with the leadership of like the others who are leading the pack. They don't need to outpace anybody. They just need to not falter too much,
Right.
or at least keep steady with everybody else. And an 8-point difference in 13 games can be done, but obviously this is a team that's going to be in the playoffs. Like that, I would be stunned. It would have to be one of the most insane falls to watch this team not make the playoffs, even to not have a home playoff game at this rate, to be honest. However, Orlando could go on a heater, and the Current may have to keep pace with that. So,
Well, Orlando could, Washington could, San Diego could, and those are 3 teams that they played away that they will have to now come here to play Kansas City. So even in that regard, they have the advantage over the next 3 teams behind them. And out of all this, you have to remember Timoa has been injured, Dabini has been injured, Lowe's been injured, Michelle's been injured. Every team goes through injuries, but they've had pretty much everybody in their attacking core and many others injured this season, and still doing this really spectacular run so far. How many goals does Timoa end up with?
when does she have now? 7, 8?
She has 8.
She has 8.
I say I think she probably gets 8 again in the second half. She hasn't had as many 2-goal games. I think if she can maybe pile up a couple of those braces, or maybe even a hat trick, it'd be nice to see a hat trick. If she can pile on one of those, then maybe we'll see it. But yeah, I think I could see her finishing anywhere from 16 to 20. I think just the pace through the first half of the season, she'd have to go, hasn't been what it was, hasn't been amazing to the point of maybe pushing up to 21, 22, 23 beyond that. But I could see her pushing close to that 20-goal mark again.
How about you, Carrie? How many goals does she get?
I was going to say 17. Just double what she has now. Add another one for good luck.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to do the score on every other team possible, just because of, that's pretty remarkable stat in itself. We talked about Cooper a little bit ago. How many goals do you think she'll end up with? Actually, let's get goals and assists. How many combined scoring contributions, goals and assists?
How many does she have again?
4 and 2 right now.
I could see her in the second half of the season, as long as she's healthy. I could see her probably getting to. I mean, I could see her getting to 10 and 7, 10 and 8, maybe. I don't think anywhere from 14 to 17 goal contributions total is unreasonable to think that she could hit that mark, as long as she stays healthy and plays in most of those games.
You're always giving a range, and I was always gonna say one above your lowest range. I was gonna go 15 in some way, shape, or form.
So is this your cheat method here, Carrie?
No, Sperry just beats me
That's
to it. And he
months.
actually Sperry cheats because he's giving a range, and I just set off my Siri instead of Sperry.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think 10 goals is a reasonable possibility for Coop. Um, I didn't want to go that high on assists as Daniel did, but you never know. I mean, it's 4-2 now, but
Well, there's some of her assists too. There's been at least 3 or 4 goals that the current have scored that because there was a deflection or it was an own goal, in Louisville's
true.
case. There's no assist that gets credited for it. But like honestly, the Louisville defender doesn't head that ball into their own net. Temwa is going to do it. She had one pass to Temwa in the Houston game that got deflected on the way through. That doesn't count as a uh, gosh, why can't I think of words? It's because we've been talking too long. That doesn't count as an assist. Like there's a lot of moments this year where the assist has not come through for her, for Dabinia, but they were the one who made the pass that kind of created something. So some good luck maybe finally goes her way with those and she gets those assists. I think 6 to 7 assists is not unreasonable. Again, if she's healthy and still playing in all the games.
Looking at the stats on FBref right now, Timo's got 8, Bia 5, Dabinia 5, Coop 4, Low 3, Kayla Sharples 2, Haley Hopkins 1. Everybody else with no goals at the moment. Last year they had like so many players with goals. Out of all the others, I'm not going to count Lorena, so we're not going to go there. But Vanessa, Hutton, Izzy, Wheeler, Mace, Ball, Cook. Well, obviously not Cook. Rocky Rodriguez, Nichelle Prince, Marta, Bailey Feist, Mary Long, and Jericho. Out of the rest of them, who scores the most goals or any?
Those are a lot of names that you just said.
I know, but you should just know them by heart.
I think Hutton gets her first goal, and maybe another will come shortly afterwards.
I'll go with that. I like that.
I'm gonna say Hopkins. I just think she's got a good nose for goal.
She's got one already.
She's got one already.
So I'm just talking to the ones who have goose eggs at this moment.
Haven't scored.
Yes. So Vanessa doesn't have a goal. Claire doesn't have a goal. Izzy, Wheeler, Mace.
Vanessa for me seems the most likely to lead it. But I'll go with Vanessa. I'll take the
easy one.
I'll take the easy answer.
No, that's cool. I'd love to see Claire get one or two.
I would love to see all of them get goals, but
yeah, all in one game. No, wait.
I could also see maybe Rocky getting in there too. If she keeps earning her keep, I don't mean it in a bad way, but if she keeps earning more minutes, earning her keep up in the midfield, even when Lowe comes back, I could see her finding a goal or two.
I do like the Claire one that Carrie said though, because it looks like she's just itching to get that goal some days. You know what I mean? When they're playing well and they're in good form, she's getting up there to take those shots even more so than last year. So yeah, I like that. All right. Anything else we should discuss? I just threw those in at the end because I was trying to have a little fun messing with people. Anything prophetic, anything interesting, anything wise to say?
No.
With the break coming up, it is no longer hot girl summer. It is healthy girl summer. Please get healthy, Casey Current.
We are out.